FM 94, The Dark, it is that time. Again, it's time to get to know a band we play here on The Dark. And on the phone tonight, I'm talking with Madame Mayhem. And of course, Madame was in studio with the band here back in October, and we wanted to bring her back on the airways because she's got some exciting news for her fans coming up. In fact, later this week, a release of a new song. But I also wanted to touch base with you too, as unfortunately we're going through this COVID-19 pandemic, and you're right in the heart of it in New York. First of all, Madam, how are you doing? How are things holding up?
Considering all is good. Obviously everyone is struggling with this pandemic, and it's very serious, but all things considered, doing well.
Let's talk about that first, the pandemic and kind of what's happening. We'll get into your new song coming out here. What was it like, I guess, when this first started, when it all started to break, and it really, unfortunately, New York and New York City became the epicenter of this pandemic, at least in the U.S.?
Yeah, I mean, building up to when we really went down on lockdown, it was, everyone was trying to be cautious and washing your hands, and people were kind of hearing about it. But then all of a sudden it was like, okay, stay home, everything's closing, and everything kind of closed pretty quickly, all at once, out of nowhere to some people, and we've just been stuck since. But luckily, it's, I think, getting better, but we're still on lockdown, even though people are slowly lifting things up. But it was pretty scary. I mean, I was afraid to leave the apartment for the beginning, for sure, and more for having high risk people in my family, like can't visit my parents, can't do any of that. So that was tough for sure. But now we're slowly FaceTime and video calls and things like that really saved it, and hopefully things can get back to normal safely soon. I mean, the crazy part is no one knows still, and as much as you watch the reports, New York City is definitely appears to be a different situation than the rest of the country. So, like some people that are opening up in certain places, it's not really happening too much here as of right now. So we're still hanging out in the apartment.
Yeah, and I remember when you were in town here, you were saying that you kind of live right down in the main area there, or at least close to that area. Has it been nobody walking the streets? Or, I mean, I obviously when I talked to Damien from the band Another Day's Armor, he said there was nobody, and that was about a month and a half ago. So time has obviously come to, things kind of change from then. Is it still that way, or is you starting to see more people?
Well, in the beginning, it was pretty creepy because I'm literally right in the middle of New York City, like right near Times Square, where it's usually insane. And it was so empty, and there was maybe one or two cars or buses or, a fire truck coming by, and that was it. And it's usually insanely loud and very busy. And so it was pretty creepy in the beginning and scary. And slowly now there are more people walking outside as the weather gets nicer, wearing face masks and social distancing as much as people can in the city. But it's still not, the amount of people outside is nothing like it used to be, for sure, even now, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is a real broad question, but how do you think this is going to affect the music industry? I mean, and, I've talked to a lot of bands in the last couple of months about this, and I've talked to bands that are up and coming. I've talked to, bands that have been around for 40 years, and so each person has kind of a different tale of that. But I guess, how do you feel this is going to affect the music industry?
I think I'm not sure, honestly. A lot of people, I've been trying to do research and, talking with other people and trying to figure out, okay, what does this mean? And a lot of people aren't exactly sure, but I mean, we're doing a lot more. I just did a virtual music festival, like on live stream, and those kind of things are starting to happen while most of the country is still on lockdown, which is kind of cool because you get to see these bands. Like for me, I played piano and sang in my apartment. No one really gets to see that side of me ever. So I think for fans, that's kind of cool that you get to see the different side of the artist when they're stuck with, limited resources in their
Mm-hmm.
apartments and things like that. But at the same time, I'm not sure because I don't know how I can run around. I know I wear the heavy gloves and, spikes everywhere. I don't know how, we can do what we do with a mask on our faces, or how, especially in the rock world. I think it's very different for rock because the whole thing is the community, in whether it's a bigger venue or in the smaller venues that we love that are more intimate, where you get to really be there with the crowd and really feel that. I don't know how soon that will happen. I hope soon. But of course, it all depends on how this virus goes and how fast, a vaccine can happen and how effective and, how safe we can be. I think obviously safety is the number one priority, but I know all of us are itching to get back out there and reconnect with our fans, especially for us, being where we are. Touring is really the way to get our name out there, our music out there, connect with our fans. That's my favorite thing to do. As much as I love writing music and recording music and keeping in touch with everyone on social media like I've been doing during this, the live shows are my favorite. So
Right.
It's definitely tough, but as the time goes on and as everyone kind of figures out what we can do, that's when we'll really know. But I have no idea.
Well,
No idea.
the other thing too, Madam, is this is a lot of people's livelihood, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
great that you guys are doing the virtual stuff, but you're not making any money off of that.
No,
and,
we are
and
not.
that's
We are
the
not.
one thing at some point. You're going to have to, if you got a family to feed or whatever, a rent to pay, you got to make
Yeah.
some money, right?
That's what's also kind of hard, because obviously we want that connection. Like for me, I want to, keep producing more content and coming out with more things for my fans and connect with my fans and keep posting these things, doing these festivals. And I don't want to ask none of us want to ask. Like, we know how hard it is for some people, not just in the music industry, but everyone in the world is struggling right now. And so you don't want to be like, hey, pay me, and I'll, it's like,
Right.
no one wants to do that, because we are all in this together. But eventually, there will have to be a thing where the music industry figures something out where, artists can get some sort of payment without fans having to spend all their money on it either. I'm sure they'll figure something out, but for now, it's,
Yeah. I know there was some talk about, obviously right now everybody's been kind of using the social media platform just to do some acoustic stuff into that. But I know there had been some talk about maybe at some point you would have to pay to watch that, and that some of that money would go to the artist. Have you heard much of that?
There have been rumblings, but I haven't heard any direct actual situations where that's been the case. But I mean, if it happens, great. And I'm sure probably it'll be from a separate platform where artists, whether it's a festival or something like that. But I mean, I'm open to anything. I'm also, getting on social media and releasing a few more videos of covers or our own stuff or whatever it may be, for fans to have things, for entertainment things to do. I'm sure everyone watched everything on Netflix already. So, entertaining while, keeping sane at the same time.
Yeah. We're talking to Madame Mayhem, and, Madame's been so kind. She's got actually a new song that's coming out on Friday, and we might, I can't guarantee this, but we might get a sneak preview of this song. Tell us a little bit more about the song that you have coming out on Friday called Breaking Down.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this. A couple months back, before all this started, there were a bunch of songs that I co-written with a bunch of different people, with bandmates, with other co-writers from other bands, and I was finally able to record some of them so that we could have more content, and then hopefully, eventually put together a full length. But for now, we just had these songs before this happened. And this song, Breaking Down, I wrote with Brian Voden from 10 Years.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really cool process. It was the first time we had worked together. This was the first song we had created together, and I'm really proud of it. And I even got to try it on the road a little bit on our last run, and it got really great feedback. So I was like, okay, I'm really excited to release this. And then all of this happened, and thinking of when do you release anything. But I really wanted to put a smile on people's faces, and for people who have been waiting for more content and more music from us. It's been a while, so I wanted to really make sure, since we can't be out touring, that there was something for fans and rock lovers to have to listen to. So we decided we were going to release this during this time, and then kind of see how it goes. And what's really cool is I got to work on this with some people that I've worked with in the past, like the great Billy Sheehan played bass on this, which is really cool because he is my mentor and bass legend, and Keith Wallen, also of Breaking Benjamin, and he has his own solo project. He came on, played guitars, and my drummer Jay is on it as well, and we got to work with Johnny Kay. So it's a really cool group of people on this song, and so I really hope that fans can be excited about it, listen to it, get whatever frustrations that they have during this time, especially out, by just rocking out to this song. Because I know I've listened to it a couple times just to kind of, get it all out there. And so that's what I hope fans will enjoy from this song.
We're looking forward to hearing it, so hopefully we can hear about it very soon here, and maybe even yet tonight here on the airwaves. You mentioned all of those the people that have kind of helped you out. How have they been holding up, and your friends kind of in the music industry as a whole? Have you had a chance to chat with much of them at all?
A bunch. Especially in the beginning, everyone's reaching out to everyone, just making sure everyone and their families are safe and everyone's home from tour. I know a lot of people's tours got cut short and they had to come home early. So it's weird, a lot of the musicians out there aren't really sure what's going on. I mean, we really don't know. So it's been interesting. I mean, I miss my band a lot. I get to talk to them a bunch, text messaging or, phone calls or things like that. But, I miss my band, and I miss all my friends. There were so many shows that were supposed to come through when we aren't touring or visiting other cities. And, it's not really happening anymore for this year, at least, from what I can tell. And, everyone's just trying to keep busy, and a lot of people in the industry are struggling because, especially the touring, the crews and people that's really their bread and butter. It's rough, and it's rough for us. It's rough, not to be able to support those people that you want to support because we don't have the money because we're not touring. Right. So it is hard, but I know I've been joking with a bunch of people, just saying we're going to get some really good music out of this because all these great musicians are stuck at home.
Yes.
And there's a lot of things to write about. So hopefully when everyone comes out of this, then everyone is safe and healthy. We'll get a lot of cool new music coming out. So that's the bright side, I guess.
Well, I tell you what, I didn't realize that you could sing Adele very well like you did, as you did Rolling in the Deep. That was awesome.
Yeah,
by the
we
way.
were starting to lose it in quarantine. Thank you. My drummer was like, let's do things that have nothing to do with our genre and just see what happens. And I was like, all right, I hope this goes well.
Well, I think it went over very well. And people can check it out on your Facebook page, right?
Yes, you can check out that cover. It was really fun.
And you're seeing a lot of that, too. A lot of different bands are doing covers or crossing over and all that kind of stuff. So as you mentioned, it's going to maybe create some new stuff, which it's not a bad thing at all, because sometimes you have to have some new stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really fun to write, to really have the time to write and create your own personal music. And, obviously we do rock music, but sometimes it's cool to do a random song that fans would think that you would do or that you would pick that is, something everyone knows, whether they like it or not, and kind of make it your own and have it be entertaining for people.
It's amazing because I've gone to so many concerts, and sometimes the songs I remember are the covers of somebody doing something you wouldn't even have thought they would have done.
Absolutely.
I mean, Yeah. And not that I'm a country guy, but we have a country show that the radio station is a part of, and Neil McCoy did a Bruno Mars song on stage.
Wow.
I was like,
I'm sure
okay.
that was cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it
I
was
mean, I've been doing a lot of Alanis Morissette on our
okay.
Madame Mayhem official YouTube page, and that's a little more in line
Yeah.
with it. But like, yeah, when you kind of find that song that fits you, even though it's totally random, like what, like like the line, like the thing you just mentioned. I mean, it ends up being really fun and it's more interesting, you know. Like, oh, why are they covering this? Let's hear it, you know.
I know you're a huge hockey fan, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you've been missing your Rangers.
Oh God.
What's
Yeah.
the status there? I know they're trying to get a 24 team playoff going. With the Rangers would be in the playoffs, I believe. The Wild would be too if they do that. How much do you miss hockey right now?
I mean, I miss it. I miss all sports, honestly. But hockey, yeah. I mean, especially where I live now. Like, it would have been cool to be able to go to a game.
Yeah.
Finally, not being on tour. But you know, what are you going to do? I miss it a lot, and I hope that the Rangers can keep building their team to get back to where we were all those years ago. You know?
Yeah.
That's my hope. So however they can figure that out, that'd be great. But honestly, I'll watch any hockey at this point.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be the Rangers.
It's bad enough that I'm watching cornhole on ESPN because it's live.
Nice.
I mean,
That's
you play it in your
awesome.
backyard, but that you have these leagues, and that's the only sports that I guess NASCAR's now gotten back into stuff too. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Is it riveting though?
Oh,
Tell
yeah.
me all about it. Is it great?
It's
Are you on the edge of your seat?
yeah, sure. Is it going in the hole? Yeah, oh yes, it's another one. Yeah, I mean, whoopee.
That's awesome.
The one question, I guess, and we kind of talked about this earlier, but let's get back to it a little bit about the concert venues and stuff. And, it's going to have to be a balance between artists and the fans of how they're going to work this. Because, I mean, are you, let me ask you, would you be glad to go back into a venue right away, or are you going to be cautious about that right away?
I think it depends on what, if every venue has the same guidelines or if one is run differently than the other. I think it matters because it's not only for my safety or for my band's safety or, my crew's safety, but for the fans that come in and for the people that are working there. I think for now, until this really goes away or until there's some sort of vaccine, or I don't even know what the answer is,
right.
But I don't think you can comfortably go in without a mask, and especially I love my fellow rockers, but those mosh pits and the amount of, and I'm going to get gross here, the amount of fluids that go around.
Yeah.
So there's sweat or whatnot. I know I am like a hot mess after every show, and I love hugging my fans after and hanging out with them at merch and watching the rest of the bands play usually. And so I would love to know how there's a safe way to do that, and even if it's not as tight knit, or if I can't hug everyone, or if it's just a fist bump. I mean, it is important to keep these venues open.
Yeah.
Even before this happened, a lot of the venues, it was important to support your live music and go out and see those local shows for those venues. Those venues are everything to us, small or big, and so we got to find a way to keep them up and running while still keeping everyone safe. And I hope that we can figure something out because those venues mean everything and they need to stay open for sure.
Yeah, that's a huge concern. And I've talked with a couple of the artists is like they're concerned about all these venues closing, and that gives you less chance to perform. I mean, not everybody can play, in Madison Square Garden. So, I mean, you have to play at some of these small venues. And if they're not available anymore, that's really going to be hard for the industry.
It's going to be hard for the industry. It's going to be hard for the bands. I mean, even us or, new bands, old bands, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you go play these smaller venues, and that's your tour. That's your way to get your music out there. That's your way to interact with your fans. And, not everyone can be on a major festival lineup every year. There's limited slots. Not everyone can be, as you said, in those huge arenas. And so it is very important. And I think live music is still so important as much as social media is amazing, and I love to interact with my fans that way. It's so important, like just to have that live feel, that live interaction. But we just got to figure out the safest way to do that before, we get out there, because the last thing I want to be held responsible for is, anyone getting sick or, forget it. I would never be able to live with myself. That'd be terrible.
Yeah, that would be. Hey, Madam, I guess the biggest question for the rest of 2020 for Madame Mayhem is what are the plans for you guys for the rest of the year? That's the biggest question. Yeah,
That's the biggest, isn't it? I think it's for everyone. I mean, we obviously want to get back out on the road sooner rather than later, but the world needs to figure out a safe way to do it so that everyone is, safe, but that we can still do what we do. I mean, for now, releasing Breaking Down on Friday, and then, we do have plans to release, whether, depending on how this pandemic goes, if we're gonna, get back in the studio or get back out on the road, or just keep releasing some of the songs that we've already recorded as singles, just so that the fans can have, something. So right now it's my least favorite thing is the wait part of the hurry up and wait. I love to know what's going on at all times. So I've been trying to hold it together with the who knows situation. But, for now, it really is. It sounds so silly, but it's, take it a day at a time, and let's get everyone healthy so we can get back on track, I think is the moral of it.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're hoping to see all those horns in the air at a venue sometime soon.
I miss it. Oh, yes. As soon as we can get back out there, we absolutely will. And in the meantime, everyone who's been reaching out to me on social media, thank you. And if you haven't yet, do it, because I definitely take time out of every day, even if it's a little bit, because you don't want to be stuck on social media all the time, because then you tend to lose it. But, just interact with your fans or fellow music lovers or whatever it may be. So
absolutely. If they want to interact with you, how can they do so?
Any of the social medias, Instagram, Madame Mayhem, Facebook, Madame Mayhem, on YouTube even, it's Madame Mayhem Official. I'm going to be releasing a lyric video for this song, as well as a bunch of other content as I am here with my piano. So you should, get it on that. Twitter is Mayhem Official. Our website, you can get all the links, which our website's madamemayhem.com, Madame with an E at the end. And just stay in touch, stay tuned, send a message, comment on something. I am the one who reads it all mostly. So if you say hi, I will say hi back. I will do my best. And that's really what's been keeping me sane lately. So everyone make sure to say hi, because I'll appreciate it very much.
Nice. And let's get a big Minnesota hi to Madame Mayhem. So make sure everybody can social media her.
I miss Minnesota so much.
Yes.
I really do. One of my best friends lives in Minnesota, and so we talk all the time. And so I've much love for Minnesota for sure.
Awesome. Hey, thanks so much for keeping us up to date what's happening with you, and also what's happening in New York. And hopefully we'll get a chance to chat soon, and hopefully, better yet, we can meet back to face, and better yet, play a show right here in central Minnesota.
I love that. Yes, we had so much fun with you last time coming in, so I hope we can do that again as soon as possible.
Once again, that is Madame Mayhem. The new song is called Breaking Down.